I found the paperwork in the back of the car, tucked under the flap of his glove box, like a dirty secret hidden in plain sight. It was a discharge summary from a urologist, a vasectomy follow-up. The date? 4 months ago. The name? His. And the box checked at the bottom? No motile sperm detected. That sentence split my brain like a lightning bolt, because we were supposed to be doing IVF together. I still remember my last injection, 3 days ago. Standing in our tiny master bathroom, fluorescent lighting bouncing off the tiles while I jabbed a needle into the soft skin above my hip, whispering affirmations I didn't believe anymore. It'll work this time. This'll be the one. Meanwhile, my husband, my partner of 8 years, had secretly made himself sterile. No explanation, no conversation, just this piece of paper, folded in thirds like a napkin he didn't care to throw away. I sat there in our parked car, heart rattling in my chest like loose change in a dryer, reading and rereading those words while the grocery bags sweat beside me. I couldn't breathe. And the worst part? My first reaction wasn't rage. It was shame. Like maybe I deserved to be tricked. Our story starts like 1,000 others. I was the woman with a checklist. He was the guy who didn't flinch when I said I wanted kids before 35. We met in grad school. Me working toward my PsyD in clinical psychology. Him getting his MBA with a focus in healthcare management. He was funny in a dry way, intelligent without showing off, and emotionally present in a way that felt like a miracle after a string of guys who thought communication meant reacting to my texts within 48 hours. When I told him, 2 months into dating, that I wanted kids eventually, not right now, but definitely someday, he smiled and said, "Same." That was enough for me back then. We moved in together a year later, married 2 years after that. Every Christmas, every wedding, every awkward family BBQ, someone would ask the usual, "So when are the babies coming?" And we'd laugh, shrug. He'd squeeze my hand and say, "We're enjoying being a team for now." In private, though, we were tracking ovulation apps. He even bought me a subscription to this fancy cycle monitoring app that came with a wearable sensor. I thought it was romantic. When nothing happened after a year, we got tested. My OB said my egg count was lower than average but not hopeless. His sperm count was borderline but treatable. We were told our chances were okay if we started IVF within the year, and that's what we did. Or, so I thought. The first round failed. I sobbed in the clinic parking lot with a heating pad on my stomach and his hand on my shoulder. The second round gave us 1 embryo. I gave that embryo a name, quietly, in my head. Jules. A genderless name, just in case. It didn't stick. The third round drained our savings. I started skipping coffee with friends. He canceled his gym membership. We told ourselves it was worth it. "It's just a phase," he said. "We'll look back on this and laugh someday." We even made a vision board. He printed out a Pinterest photo of a minimalist nursery and taped it to the fridge. I bought a tiny pair of green socks and kept them in my drawer for good luck. But now, looking back, I see it all differently. When I confronted him that night, he was folding laundry on the bed like nothing had happened. I walked in, held up the paper, and said, "You got a vasectomy?" He froze. Didn't deny it. Didn't even look surprised. Just said, "I was going to tell you." "That you sterilized yourself while I was shooting hormones into my bloodstream every morning?" I said, shaking now, holding the paper like it was a weapon. "Tell me what, exactly?" He sat down slowly, like a robot powering down. "I couldn't do it anymore. Watching you go through all that, it broke me. I knew I didn't want kids. I thought I could change, but you lied to me for 8 years. His eyes flicked up. "I never said I wanted them. I said I'd consider it. There's a difference." A chasm opened inside me right then. I thought about the syringes in our bathroom trash, the embryo I named in my head, the baby socks I still kept hidden in my nightstand. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I just walked out. I went to my sister's place that night. She's younger than me, 28, single, doesn't want kids, lives in a 1-bedroom with a cat that hates everyone. She opened the door wearing sweatpants and no bra, and didn't even ask what happened. She just saw my face, moved aside, and said, "Shoes off. We're ordering Chinese." I slept on her couch with a heating pad, and her weighted blanket wrapped around me like a burial cloth. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a message from him. 7:41 a.m. "I'm sorry, I panicked. Can we talk?" 9:06 a.m. I'll do couples therapy if that's what you want. 10:42 a.m. Please don't tell your mom. That one made me laugh. Like, actually laugh. A short, sharp bark that felt more like choking than humor. He didn't want me to tell my mom. As if embarrassment was the worst thing he could imagine happening. Over the next week, I unraveled every little lie he ever told me. The night he forgot to make his testing appointment. He never rescheduled. The time he said the embryo's storage fee bounced. He never paid it. That embryo is gone now. The health scare that made him rethink fatherhood? Just a sinus infection. He used sympathy like a smoke bomb. Distracted me with emotion so I wouldn't look too closely. And I let him. Because I wanted to believe we were in this together. Because I was scared to look at the truth straight on. Because the idea that the man I loved was just a better liar than most was too painful to accept. But I see it now. I see everything. My mom took it harder than I expected. Not that I told her everything, just the outline, the sanitized version. He lied about a medical procedure. I can't trust him anymore. I didn't say vasectomy. I didn't say IVF. I didn't say our last embryo is gone. I just watched her expression harden as I spoke, watched her lips purse like she was physically swallowing words she wanted to spit out. He always seemed controlled, she finally said, dabbing her mouth with a napkin over our brunch at Olive Garden. Now I know why. I blinked. What does that mean? She gave a small shrug. It means I always knew there was something off. The way he didn't want to hold your cousin's baby. The way he flinched at loud kids in restaurants. I noticed. But you looked happy. And after your miscarriage, well... I dropped my fork. What? She looked up, face tight. You never told him about that night in college? I stared at her. I never had a miscarriage. Now it was her turn to freeze. A full, pulsing silence spread across the booth. The clinking of silverware from nearby tables filled the space between us. You told Aunt Carla, she whispered. I remember. You said it was early. You were scared. You thought it was his and... I held up a hand. My chest had gone cold. Not from shock, but realization. Someone had told my husband I had a miscarriage. Someone told him a lie. And that someone had to be her. I didn't confront her there. I just paid the bill, gave her a hug that felt like I was hugging a mannequin, and left with a to-go box I'd never eat from. In the car, I sat with the AC blasting and stared at my phone. My messages with him were still open. A string of blue and gray texts like a battlefield. Me. I'm staying at Maya's. Don't contact me for a while. Him. I understand. Him. 2 hours later. I didn't do it to hurt you. Him. Next morning. Can we please just talk? That one had a voicemail attached. I listened to it for the 4th time. I know I should have told you. I didn't think you'd understand. You said once that if I didn't want kids, it was a deal breaker. And I panicked. I thought I could do it for you, but every step just felt like I was losing myself. I'm sorry. I love you. I hated how calm he sounded. Like it was just a mismatch of goals. Like we were politely disagreeing on dinner plans. Not years of deception. But his voice wasn't what struck me. It was the reference. You said once that if I didn't want kids, it was a deal breaker. I had said that. Years ago. In my mom's kitchen. During Thanksgiving. When we were engaged. And she'd been standing right there. That night, I cornered her. Back at her house. Same kitchen. Same cheap laminate countertops. Same pale green ceramic mug she always held like a prop when things got tense. You told him I had a miscarriage. She didn't. Deny it. Instead, she sipped her tea. I thought if he knew how hard it was for you, he'd come around. Why would you lie about that? Her voice was soft, infuriatingly maternal. Because you've always made bad choices with men. But he was different. Stable. The kind of man who could give you a real life. I thought if he understood what you'd been through, he'd feel protective. Invested. I stepped back like she'd slapped me. You weaponized imaginary trauma to manipulate my fiancé. She set the mug down gently. You wanted a family. I did what I thought would help. You poisoned my marriage. No, she said, eyes narrowing. You picked a man who didn't love you enough to tell you the truth. That's on him. She wasn't wrong, but that didn't make her right. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't stop replaying it all. The first time he flinched when we talked about kids, the way he'd always redirect, Let's take that trip first, or maybe next year, after the promotion. The way my mom gushed about him, how mature he was, how thoughtful, how not like the others. And I realized something else. He didn't lie to me at first. He lied because of her, because she painted me as fragile, desperate, someone he needed to protect with half-truths and gentle distancing. She set the stage. He played the part. I was just the collateral damage. 3 days later, I saw the Facebook post. It was a throwback photo from our engagement party. Me in a red dress, him in a navy suit, my mom holding a mimosa like it was a trophy. Caption: When you know, #family #blessed. It had been posted just that morning. I hadn't spoken to her since the kitchen confrontation. This felt like a shot across the bow, a digital rewriting of history. So I commented, for the first time in years. Crazy what you don't know, huh? It got 24 likes, then 7 texts from cousins I hadn't spoken to since the wedding, then 1 message from my older brother. Call me. Mom's spiraling. When I finally called her, she answered on the second ring. Do you want to destroy me? She snapped. No, I said. I just want you to admit it. There was a long pause. Then, in a trembling voice, I did what I thought was right. I didn't think it would turn into this. That's the problem, I said quietly. You never think past your own intent. Meanwhile, my husband, soon to be ex, was sending flowers. First, a small bouquet, then a bigger one, then a box of chocolate-covered strawberries from some overpriced delivery site with a note. Still hoping we can talk. Please, just one dinner. I took a photo of them, posted to my Instagram story, captioned it, trying to fix betrayal with sugar. Cute. I didn't tag him, but he saw it. I know he did. He texted an hour later. That wasn't fair. I didn't respond. Then came the final twist. Maya, my sister, was scrolling through Reddit late one night, half watching old episodes of New Girl with me on the couch, when she gasped. She shoved her phone in my face. Look at this post. Look at the username. It was on r child free, a post titled, I got a vasectomy without telling my wife. Am I the villain or just protecting myself? Posted 3 weeks ago. The handle? You honest gray area. My heart stopped. It was him. Same writing style, same timeline, same details. He even used fake names that sounded like ours. The comments were brutal. You're a liar. She deserves to know. You're stealing her future. This isn't protection. It's control. He had responded to all of them. Defensive, sarcastic, dismissive. She would have left me if I told her the truth. What choice did I have? You people love to act righteous online. Real life isn't that black and white. Sometimes you lie to protect what's left. That's when I knew. There was no coming back from this. Not because of the lie, but because he still thought he was the victim. Because he told strangers on Reddit more truth than he ever told me. I sent him the link. No caption, just the link. He left me on read, then blocked me. I laughed. Hard. He blocked me. After everything. After his body betrayed mine. After his mouth told half-truths while I injected hope into my veins. After he turned my womb into a waiting room for a child he never wanted. He blocked me. And that's when I felt it for the first time in months. Relief. Not victory. Not closure. But air. Real, clean, oxygenated breath. Like the first one you take after nearly drowning. I moved out 2 weeks later. Maya and I boxed up my stuff while he was at work. She made a playlist. I labeled every box with emojis just to keep it light. Bathroom. Office. IVF meds. Unopened. I left him the green socks in a drawer, with a note. You never had to be a father, but you could have been a decent man. The apartment I moved into had carpet that smelled faintly like old coffee and sadness. Maya found it on Craigslist. A sublet from a traveling nurse named Carly, who needed someone to cover her lease while she rotated through a 16-week trauma unit in Ohio. The walls were bare except for a single nail where a picture once hung, and the fridge made a rattling sound every hour like it was coughing up secrets. But it was mine. Or at least, not his. I slept with the windows open, woke up to birds I didn't recognize. Let the silence wash over me instead of fighting it with Spotify playlists and background TV noise. The first 2 nights, I cried. Not for him, for me. For the version of myself I'd been building all these years. The one with the Pinterest nursery and Target baby registry tabs saved in Chrome. For the woman who had believed in someday, like it was a promise instead of a stalling tactic. For the eggs that would never become anything more than frozen dots on a lab slide, then melted into discard bins when the storage payments lapsed. I mourned like it was a death, because it was. I started therapy again. Real therapy. Not the Zoom call check-ins I'd squeezed between IVF injections and fertility app reminders. This was in person, 3 days a week, with a woman named Yara, who wore chunky bracelets and let silence hang like art. I told her everything. About the lie. About my mom. About the Reddit post. She didn't flinch. Just nodded slowly and said, "Do you want to burn it all down? Or rebuild?" I laughed, bitterly. "Is both an option?" She smiled. That's usually how healing starts. A week later, I got a letter. Not a text, not an email. An actual envelope in the mailbox, addressed in his handwriting. Still neat, still annoyingly even, like he measured each line with a ruler. Inside was a typed letter. 3 pages, single-spaced. He started with, "I know you'll never want to see me again." Then rambled through 2,000 words of justification, self-pity, and bad metaphors. Something about being a canoe in your hurricane. Something about protecting the version of us that still worked. But the last paragraph, that's what gutted me. If I'd told you the truth, you would have left me. And I wanted to be loved, even if it was for someone I wasn't. I sat on the floor after reading it, just sat there, cold laminate against my legs, bare walls closing in like a whisper. That sentence haunted me, because I understood it, because part of me had done the same thing. I had loved the version of him that wanted children. I ignored the signs, smoothed the cracks, built our future on a foundation I knew was uneven. We were both actors, just in different plays. I didn't respond, but I did open my fertility app for the first time in weeks. I didn't delete it. I just updated the settings. Changed my status from trying with partner to single, exploring options. The app pinged with a notification. Looking into egg preservation or donor options. Click here. And I clicked. Not because I was ready, but because I wanted to be. That weekend, Maya dragged me to a bar downtown. One of those overly rustic places with Edison bulbs and drinks served in mismatched mason jars. She wore a crop top and red lipstick. I wore jeans and a hoodie, makeup free, not looking to impress anyone. Until I saw him. Not him. Someone new. He was sitting by the dartboard, sipping whiskey, wearing a hoodie with a podcast logo I actually listened to. He looked soft, not in a weak way, in a real way. Messy curls, laugh lines, a slightly crooked tooth that made his smile feel lived in. He caught me staring and raised his glass in a lazy, not creepy way. I looked away, smiled, didn't walk over, didn't need to. The next day, I got a call from Maya's phone at 6:37 a.m. But it wasn't Maya. It was him. My ex. He sounded frantic. "I can't find her," he said. "She's not answering. Her location's off. I thought maybe—" "What are you talking about?" "Maya," he said, like I was supposed to know. I sat straight up. "She never came home last night." My throat closed. "What do you mean, never came home?" "She went to meet someone. Some guy she's been texting. She said she was just getting drinks, but—" He kept talking, but my ears blurred. Because Maya always texted me, even when she went on bad dates. Especially after. But I hadn't heard from her since that bar, and I suddenly remembered the guy she'd left with. It took 14 hours to find her. She wasn't hurt, just embarrassed. Her phone died. The guy was normal, just way more into astrology than anyone should be. They ended up talking on the beach until sunrise, and she fell asleep in his car with no charger. But in those 14 hours, I learned something important. When he thought someone was missing, my ex didn't text my mom. He didn't post on Facebook. He called me, and I didn't hang up. Because for a second, we were just 2 people who loved the same person. Who were scared. Who still had some kind of connection that existed outside betrayal and broken dreams. It didn't change anything, but it did make the rage a little less sharp. A month passed. I settled into the apartment. Got a rug from Target that actually made the living room feel cozy. Started journaling again. Saw a new specialist who said I had good odds for egg retrieval. if I wanted to preserve. And then, one night, I got dinner with someone. Not a date, just tacos and too much guac with a guy from my book club who talked too loud but listened really well. He walked me to my car, didn't try to kiss me, just smiled and said, "You're not who I expected." And for the first time in years, I liked that. Later that night, I got an email from my mom. Subject line: forgiveness? No message body, just a photo. Me, age 6, wearing a sunflower dress, holding a doll like it was the most precious thing in the world. It was taken the day my dad moved out, the day I told her I'd never have a broken family. I closed the email without replying, not out of spite, out of stillness, because I finally realized I wasn't broken. I was just rebuilding, and not everyone gets to come inside the new foundation. The final straw didn't look dramatic. There was no screaming, no cheating scandal, no last-ditch proposal with flowers and apologies in a crowded restaurant. It was a LinkedIn update. Simple, bland, but sharp as a scalpel. Excited to announce my new role as Director of Partnerships at Gensure Health. His new job, at my old employer, the same fertility clinic system where we started IVF, where I had frozen my hope in numbered vials and labeled syringes, where I bled on paper gowns and watched my name flicker across hallway monitors like a code to be cracked, where I sobbed in fluorescent bathrooms with sterile soap and cracked vinyl chairs. He had taken that place and made it his next career move. I stared at the update, freshly posted, 17 likes already. A couple of his old business school friends had commented, "Knew you'd land somewhere big, congrats. Can't wait to see what you do there." I felt the bile rise in my throat. Not jealousy, not even betrayal, just audacity. He had turned the scene of our deepest pain into a stepping stone. And not once, did he warn me. No heads up. No, "Hey, just so you know." No whisper of consideration. It was like he wanted to keep control of the narrative, to rewrite history in bullet points and endorsements. I texted him. Just one line. "Me. Seriously?" He replied in under a minute. "What?" No punctuation, no guilt. I sent a screenshot of the post. No caption. This time he didn't reply at all. Just saw it, left it. I waited. An hour. 2. Checked again. Still nothing. Then I opened Facebook. And there it was. A new cover photo on his profile. Him in front of the Gensure logo, wearing a lanyard, smiling with 2 executives I recognized from the company's newsletter. My stomach flipped. Not because he'd moved on, but because he had weaponized our pain and polished it into a resume bullet. I slammed my laptop shut and cried, but only for 5 minutes. Then I got to work. That night I dug out my old email archives, client files, personal letters, forwarded updates from fertility nurses. I found the one from 6 months ago, the cancellation notice for our embryo storage. I remembered staring at it for hours, thinking it was a billing error. Forwarding it to him, getting no reply. Now I knew why. He'd already had the vasectomy by then. I pulled up the billing portal, logged in with my credentials, and downloaded the full account history. Every payment, every freeze, every note. And at the very bottom, account terminated by partner request, confirmed via phone. No consent required due to primary nameholder authorization. He was listed as the primary. He had made the call. I was just the passenger. Again. I posted the truth. Not revenge, not slander, just facts. On a fertility support subreddit I'd lurked on for years, I wrote, "My ex-husband got a vasectomy during our IVF cycle, terminated our embryo storage without telling me, and now works as a partnership director at the same clinic. Just be careful who you trust." I didn't name him. Didn't need to. The details were enough. It got traction fast. Comments poured in. "That's so unethical. You should report him to the clinic board. I'm crying for you, sister." Someone even linked a contact form for the state fertility ethics board. I didn't report him. Not yet. But the seed was planted. Let the weight of his choices sit with him for once. 2 days later, I got a knock at the apartment door. Not Maya. Not a neighbor. It was him. Standing in a wrinkled blazer, holding a paper bag of Chinese takeout like we were about to watch a movie together. "I'm not here to fight," he said quickly. "Just to talk. Please." I crossed my arms. "You took a job at the clinic where I bled for us." He looked pained. It's a great opportunity. It's not like I'm mocking you. You sterilized yourself. Lied about it. Let me believe I was the problem. And now you're profiting from it. His mouth opened. Closed. I didn't see it like that. That's the problem, Chris. You never do. He held out the takeout bag. It's from Golden Palace. Your favorite. I didn't move. Leave it at the door, I said. And don't come back. He hesitated, eyes flicking between my face and the ground. Then set the bag down. Walked away. Not a word. Not a look back. And I didn't watch him go. Inside the bag was my usual, spicy garlic eggplant with tofu, 2 fortune cookies, and a napkin with handwriting on the back. You were always the strong one. I just couldn't keep up. I crumpled it without reading the rest. Strength isn't silent suffering. It's leaving. The next week, I got a call from Genshore's HR, a soft-voiced woman named Brielle, who asked if I had a moment to verify some past patient experiences. I could tell she was choosing her words carefully. I asked, "Is this about Chris?" Silence, then. "We're conducting a standard review of professional background alignment with internal ethics policies. That's all I can say." But I could hear it in her voice. Someone had reported him. Not me, but someone. And the ripple had started. I didn't celebrate, just lit a candle. Prayed, not for karma, but for clarity. For everyone still in the fog I had lived in for too long. For every woman stabbing herself with syringes while her partner tells half-truths through tight smiles. For every mom trying to fix a daughter's life by faking grief. For every version of me that still whispered, maybe this is all I deserve. I finally wrote back to my mom. Just one text. Me. I forgive you, but we need distance. She replied, I'll wait. However long it takes. I love you. And for once, I believed her. But I didn't answer. Because forgiveness doesn't always mean reunion. Sometimes it just means peace. Maya and I booked a trip to Santa Fe. We hiked, drank overpriced coffee, bought matching woven bracelets from a street vendor named Lalo, who said mine had protection energy. On the flight home, I stared at the clouds and drafted a note in my phone. This is what it feels like to leave the cage you never realized you were in. I almost posted it, then stopped. Some things don't need to be shared. Some healing is just yours. When I got back, a package was waiting at my door. No return address. Inside, the green baby socks. And a photo. Of me, years ago, holding our embryo report with a soft, tearful smile. On the back, he'd written, I wanted to want this. I really did. I didn't cry, just folded the photo, tucked it away, then walked to the dumpster, and let it go. The last thing I did before I left that apartment for good was open the box of IVF meds. Not to use them, just to see them. 3 clear syringes, 2 vials still half full. A starter pack with day 1 circled in blue pen. The cold pack long melted, leaving a slightly damp ring at the bottom of the cardboard. I sat cross-legged on the carpet and lined them up like evidence. This was what I had built my life around for nearly 3 years. These tiny tools, these hormone cocktails, this hope disguised as plastic. And they had become tombstones. But not for a child, for who I thought I was. I'd kept them this whole time, even after everything. Even after the truth, the betrayal, the Reddit post, the job at Gensure, the letter, the visit, the photo. I hadn't let them go. Because part of me still didn't know who I was without the dream. I wasn't a wife anymore. Wasn't a mother in the making. Wasn't a patient waiting for a miracle. So who was I? I took a picture, just one, of the syringes in a neat row with the caption, "This isn't a failure, it's a beginning." I didn't post it, just saved it to my phone, then dropped everything into a plastic grocery bag and walked it outside to the building's sharps disposal unit. A weird perk of living near 3 hospitals. The bin clicked shut with a finality that echoed louder than it should have. And then I walked back upstairs. Lighter. Maya helped me pack the rest of my things a week later. She was moving in with her new boyfriend, beach car guy, who turned out to be an Aries with a moon in Libra and a surprising obsession with documentaries about abandoned malls. They were chaotic and sweet and stupidly in love. And I was happy for her. Even if it made me ache a little. I was moving too. To a studio on the other side of town. Closer to the yoga studio I'd started frequenting. Near a community garden I accidentally fell in love with. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. I painted one wall pale yellow and ordered sheer curtains that fluttered like soft ghosts in the breeze. I bought a tiny bookshelf and filled it with used paperbacks from a thrift store with a cat named Rent. I started breathing deeper, smiling more, eating dinner at the table instead of hunched on the couch. I wasn't healed, but I was healing. One morning, I got an email from Brielle at Gensure. She thanked me for my time and discretion, said the situation had been resolved internally, and offered me a referral if I ever needed services again. I stared at the message for a long time, then typed, "Me. I appreciate the update. I wish your future patients better partners than I had." I never heard back, but I didn't need to. My ex posted a long status a month later, a non-specific taking accountability type of essay, full of words like growth, lessons, and empathy. I skimmed it, didn't react, didn't comment. It wasn't for me. He was performing healing for an audience. I was living it. There's a difference. I started dating again, slowly, cautiously. An accountant who liked escape rooms, a tattoo artist with a PhD in medieval literature, a divorced woman with 2 kids and the warmest laugh I'd ever heard. Nothing stuck, but I didn't need it to. I wasn't looking to be completed, just curious, open, alive. I did freeze my eggs. 6 months later. Used a different clinic, one with teal chairs and soft-spoken nurses who didn't call embryos products. It was brutal. My body swelled. My emotions whiplashed. I cried over cereal commercials and fell asleep mid-sentence more than once. But when it was done, I had 5 good eggs, 5 chances, 5 maybes, and 0 regrets. I didn't tell my mom. Not until much later. At Thanksgiving, actually. She asked if I wanted kids still. Said it like a warning. Like she was bracing herself. And I just said, yes, maybe, but on my own terms. She nodded. Didn't cry. Didn't apologize. Just nodded. It was the first real conversation we'd had in almost a year. And it was enough. The green baby socks? I gave them away. To a neighbor who'd just had a little boy named Micah. I wrapped them in tissue paper and wrote a note. For warm feet and warm beginnings. She cried when she opened it. And I finally felt free. Last week I sat at a coffee shop, flipping through an old journal. Found a page from 2 years ago titled Baby Names. Jules, Sloan, Ever, Theo, Ari. I smiled, then flipped the page, started a new list. Not baby names, business ideas, travel goals, therapy techniques I wanted to study more, maybe even a podcast about post-IVF identity. And at the bottom, in all caps, being whole has nothing to do with who you raise, it's who you become. I underlined it twice, then closed the journal. People love to ask, do you hate him? And I always pause. Because hate takes energy I've reclaimed. So, no, I don't hate him. I pity the part of him that thought love was something to be earned through silence, rather than built through truth. And I love the part of me that finally chose honesty over hope. Even when it shattered everything. Especially then. Maybe I'll be a mom someday. Maybe I won't. But I know this now. I was never broken. Just buried. And now, I'm blooming. Should I have told the world what he did with his real name? Or was letting go the real justice? If this story moved you, subscribe for more real-life confessions and emotional journeys like this one.